Active. Rumble activates his flamethrower for 3 seconds, gaining 20 heat and dealing magic damage every 0.25 seconds to all enemies in a cone in front of him. Deals reduced damage to minions. Danger Zone. Flamespitter's damage is increased by 50%. Active. Rumble shields himself for 1.5 seconds, gaining 20 heat. Rumble also gains bonus movement speed for the duration. Danger Zone. Scrap Shield's effects are increased by 50%. Passive. Rumble periodically stocks an electric harpoon charge up to a maximum of 2. Active. Rumble shoots a harpoon in the target direction, gaining 10 heat and dealing magic damage to the first enemy hit and slowing them for 2 seconds. Hitting the same target with another harpoon enhances the slow, stacking additively. Danger Zone. Electro Harpoon's effects are increased by 50%. Active. Rumble deploys a barrage of rockets 1,000 units down the target path, landing in a line over 1 second and lasting for 5 seconds. Enemies within the line of rockets take magic damage every 0.5 seconds and are slowed by 35%. After leaving the area, the damage will linger for 1 second. Watch me stream live on twitch.tv/happyheartlose. I'll play Minecraft and League of Figneed, and the most horrible thing is not the darkness, it's unknown. People choose to sleep in the night to aviod see the scare things. We finally understand that light can bring us courage till we invent light. But when you come to this world, it's totally different. Light makes you see all the unknown and scare objects. It's horrible enough to make your heart stop. Life is so well designed. For a lot of the time, it is painful and boring and challenging, but to some extent, that is part of what makes it enjoyable and engaging. Do I sound like a business major giving a presentation at a high school? Sorry. Here, think about this. One of the greatest, universal, most prevalent challenges in life for all humans everywhere is the overcoming of temptation. Temptation usually in the form of one's physiological urges. By that, I mean things like hunger, weariness, your basic impulses. A big challenge for a lot of people is to watch what they eat. So this means resisting the temptation to grab that slice of cake out of the fridge, putting off that short-term reward for long-term gains. In this case, those might be weight loss, or a better figure, or being healthier. Now for another example, how about the temptation to do nothing and be lazy, aka procrastinating? By overcoming this temptation, by actually sitting down and getting to work, you are victorious in another one of these challenges that I'm talking about. You are productive, you are developing those habits of hard work and perseverance, and you are making progress in your path to success. These are only 2 examples, but you can really think of a whole ton of life's challenges as being inside of this framework. Doing the hard thing instead of the easy thing is often the way you have to go if you want to be successful or happy or skilled. Overcoming temptation. Now what I found interesting when thinking about this was when I asked myself, why is this the way things are? You know, why do you have to choose between eating the tasty thing or the healthy thing? Why can't the healthy thing just also be tasty? Why is doing the right thing so consistently synonymous with doing the hard thing? Why can't things just be easy? The answer I like is that our temptations were actually helpful to us thousands of years ago, rather than being challenges to overcome. They're still helpful to the majority of living creatures around the world because they share many of the same temptations as us. Think about it. The oldest humans, who had body hair all over and had no spoken language and were hunter-gatherers, their hunger, instead of being something to fight in a battle to lose weight, motivated them to search for food. If they never felt hunger, they'd have none of that desperation to search for food, and they'd starve, and they wouldn't pass on their genes. That's a Darwin moment. And to match our other example from before, their quote-unquote laziness didn't get in the way of their productivity or make them procrastinate, it was there to force them to spend as little energy as was necessary in their daily tasks, so they'd have reserved as much energy as possible in the case of a fight or chase. So I thought that was really cool. Our temptations had once been humanity's greatest ally in dealing with the external challenges of surviving in the harsh environments of the wild. But once civilization had begun to flourish, the threats of the wild disappeared as well as the day-to-day fight for survival. What purpose did our temptations serve after that point? Not much. Now, they are mostly just hindrances to us, as I've explained. But I think that's very cool too, and it shows how well designed life is. Because if they weren't hindrances, if our evolutionary temptations to immediate gratification just disappeared, then we'd have no real problems living in our modern world, would we? We wouldn't have to wrestle with procrastination, we wouldn't have to have that battle between eating the tasty thing versus eating the healthy thing, and yes, I know there's a lot of tasty foods that are also healthy, but bear with me. If this were the case, if there was no challenge of overcoming temptation, everything would be easy and we'd all be very successful. But that's incredibly boring. You might not believe it. You might think that you'd really like it if it was super easy to just sit down and breeze through your studying at homework, but a lot of the fun in life does come from its difficulty, its challenges. Consider video games. Hard video games are a lot of fun because it feels so rewarding when you defeat really hard enemies or pass those impossible sections. Human beings thrive when they seek out challenges and conquer them. Why do I sound like an advert for sports shoes? Even though life is really well designed in this way, it's really poorly balanced in other ways. The luck factor is way too high, I think. I don't want to get political or impose my worldview on you guys, but I think it's widely agreeable that it is very unfair that some people, like myself, are fortunate enough to simply spawn into wealth in peaceful countries with lots of resources and opportunities available to them and a loving and caring family. Yet other people aren't born in places with such luxuries. In some cases, they may even be heavily disadvantaged. A lot of life is really just birthplace diff. Huge birthplace diff. Huge! 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 You might be wondering how this is relevant to everything I've discussed earlier. Well, see here, life is unfair, but even in its unfairness, it still manages to be well designed. The people we often see as having easy lives, those who are rich, successful, beautiful, their lives may not be as easy as we may think. Consider the hedonic treadmill. This is a philosophy moment. The hedonic treadmill states that we human beings get used to things really quickly. We might be an average fella, working a 9-to-5 job for most of our lives, but upon winning the lottery one day and having all the material luxuries at our fingertips without having to work another day in our lives, the hedonic treadmill states that this does not provide any great eternal happiness. No, the fickle, ungrateful human brain decides quickly that these riches and luxuries and lack of responsibility is the new normal, and since when does normality ever make anyone really happy? In short, you just get used to being rich. Ho hum. It might be tough to be grateful, let alone ecstatic, for something you feel you're already used to, and why am I playing teamfight tactics? Anyways, this means that everyone in the world, regardless of status, probably encounters daily problems, daily challenges. You might be skeptical though, right? You compare the problems of a billionaire fretting over a broken nail to an average fella struggling to make ends meet. But I think we must think harder about the potential problems of those who you might think have no problems. We all got fantasies of being rich or famous or successful, right? I imagine you to be a generous, caring person, so I want you to imagine you're omega rich beyond belief or comprehension. You being the generous, caring person that you are, don't you want to give some of that money away? You're never going to need that much money, you're never going to be able to spend it all. Give it to someone who needs it more. Now, don't you think that's a pretty big burden, actually, to have to try and figure out the best, most effective ways to distribute your wealth and resources to help the world in the best ways? That sounds tough, and there's potential for a lot of guilt to weigh in if you think you're not doing it good enough. There are countless people and social causes around the world who could really use a little bit from this hypothetical bounty of cash that you don't need. But that's enough empathizing with rich people. My main point is that challenges in life equal interesting and engaging life, and even when you reach a point where you think life should present no more challenges, there are still fresh new ones that make life interesting still. I guess we're all masochists or something.